All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into the world of technical sales representatives for electronic equipment and how to really nail that interview.
Definitely a hot field right now and lots to unpack.
We've got a ton of great resources from RoleCatcher this time around.
Their career guides are super helpful, to give you that broad overview.
Yeah, I like how they break things down, like what the job actually is.
Right? Because it's not always obvious from the title alone.
Like the RoleCatcher overview says this is way more than just selling gadgets.
It does say that, yeah.
More like being a tech translator almost.
Totally. You're bridging the gap between all the complex tech stuff.
And the customers who need it but maybe don't speak tech.
Exactly. Like, can you imagine explaining fiber optic internet to someone?
Who's only ever used dial-up.
Right. You need to be that expert on routers and switches and all of that.
But also be able to explain it in a way that anyone can understand.
Huge communication skills needed there.
And the RoleCatcher Guide also mentions how diverse the work environment can be.
Oh, yeah. It's not your typical desk job necessarily.
Could be offices, showrooms, even on-site with customers.
Exactly. So being adaptable is key, and that's something to highlight in your interview.
Show them you're comfortable in different settings.
Speaking of standing out, have you heard about how AI is changing the hiring game?
AI. Fill me in.
RoleCatcher actually has this AI that analyzes specific job descriptions.
Oh, wow.
So you can really tailor your resume and your answers to exactly what this employer is looking for.
So it's like a secret weapon for interview prep.
It kind of is. Think about it. Your application might get scored by AI before a human even sees it.
Really?
Yeah, so knowing how to play that game is huge.
I could see how that would give you an edge.
And on top of that, RoleCatcher has this massive database of over 120,000 interviewer questions.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, and they have sections specifically for roles like technical sales rep.
So it's like having a cheat sheet, but way more sophisticated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into some of those questions now.
Yeah, let's get down to brass tacks. What kind of questions should someone going for an entry-level position expect?
Okay, so one of the most common ones you'll hear is, can you tell us about your experience with electronic and telecommunications equipment?
Sounds pretty basic.
It does, but there's a right way and a wrong way to answer it.
Don't just rattle off every gadget you've ever used, I'm guessing.
Right. It's not about listing every job you've had or every degree you have.
So what should you talk about?
Think about projects you've worked on, maybe hobbies that show your passion.
Okay, so like if you built your own computer or something.
Exactly. Or if you have a side hustle fixing smartphones, that's gold.
So it's about showing genuine interest, not just rote knowledge.
Exactly. You want to show them you're excited about this stuff.
Not just looking for a paycheck.
Right. And don't be afraid to get specific, too.
You mean like mentioning specific routers and switches?
Yes. The interviewer wants to see depth and breadth of knowledge.
That makes sense. So if you can talk about different types of equipment.
Using the right terminology, that shows you've got the technical chops.
Like you speak their language.
Exactly.
Mm.
All right, so let's say you have a bit more experience under your belt.
What kind of questions would you get then?
For mid-level candidates, a common question is, how do you stay up to date with the latest developments in electronic and telecommunications equipment?
I feel like I'd just say, I Google it.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that's not a good answer.
Not really. They want to hear something more proactive.
Okay, so how do you show them you're truly staying ahead of the curve?
Well, are there industry events you attend? Publications you read?
Ooh, good point.
Maybe you're part of online communities or follow thought leaders in the field?
Yeah, so it's about showing them you're passionate enough to stay on top of things, even outside of work.
Exactly. Okay, now, for a question that can trip up even experienced candidates.
Ooh, lay it on me.
How do you handle sales conversations with customers who might not have a technical background?
That's a good one. You need to be able to explain things clearly without being condescending.
Right, and this is where RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you practice.
Really?
Yep. You can input your answer, and it'll flag any jargon or overly technical language.
Like a built-in jargon buster?
Exactly. And it'll suggest simpler alternatives.
Wow, that's handy.
And remember, it's not about dumbing things down. It's about tailoring your language to your audience.
So, like, can you explain the benefits of fiber optic internet to your grandmother?
Exactly. If
Yeah.
you can do that, you're on the right track.
I love that analogy. It shows you're not just technically skilled, but also empathetic.
And able to connect with people on their level, which is huge in sales.
Especially in a field like this where the tech can be pretty complex.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So let's move on to another question.
Okay, what else should people be prepared for?
So this next one is more common for those mid-level roles. It really gets to the heart of what a technical sales rep does.
Okay, hit me with it.
How do you balance the technical aspects of a sale with the business needs of the customer?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's not just about knowing the tech specs right.
Right, you got to show them you can connect the dots between the technology and what the customer is actually trying to achieve with their business.
It's like you need to be a consultant almost as much as a salesperson.
I like that. Yeah, you're advising them on the best path forward, not just pushing products.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like in a real sales situation?
Sure. Let's say a customer wants to upgrade their network infrastructure. They might be tempted by the latest and greatest tech.
The shiniest new toy.
But as the expert, you need to step back and consider things like cost effectiveness
Right. Can they actually afford it?
and scalability. Will it meet their needs not just today, but as their business grows?
Because recommending a solution that's too expensive or can't handle their future needs would be a big mistake.
Huge mistake. So you got to be thinking long term.
Okay, so that's mid-level. What about those senior level positions? The questions probably get even tougher.
They do get more strategic. One you might encounter is, can you give an example of a time when you had to manage multiple sales opportunities simultaneously?
Oh yeah, juggling multiple deals at once. That's got
Oh.
to be challenging.
It is, and this is where your organizational skills really come into play.
How do you even begin to prepare for that kind of question?
Well, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help here. They use this method called the STAR method.
STAR.
It stands for Situation, Task, Action, Result.
Okay, so it's a framework for telling a story, basically.
Exactly. And it helps you keep your answer clear and concise, which is key in an interview.
And I bet mentioning specific tools you've used would be helpful too.
Absolutely. Like a CRM system. That's a software for managing customer interactions.
Yeah, those are pretty standard in sales these days.
Did you use project management software to stay organized? Mention that. These details matter. They show the interviewer you're not just saying you can handle multiple deals,
You're actually proving it.
right? So another crucial skill at the senior level is negotiation.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You're dealing with big contracts and high-stakes decisions.
Exactly. A question you might hear is, how do you approach negotiating contracts and pricing with customers?
That's where you really need to balance customer satisfaction with your company's bottom line.
It's a delicate dance. You're not just closing the deal. You're closing the right deal.
So how do you showcase your negotiation skills in an interview?
Think about win-win strategies you've used in the past. Have you ever negotiated a volume discount that benefited both the customer and your company?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Or maybe you structured a contract that included performance incentives.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where everyone walks away happy.
Exactly. You want to show you can find creative solutions that benefit everyone involved.
Now, we've talked a lot about technical skills and sales strategies, but what about the human side of things? Building relationships has got to be important in a role like this, right?
It's huge. It's not just about making the sale, it's about building long-term relationships.
Because those relationships lead to repeat business and referrals.
Exactly. A mid-level question you might get is, how do you approach building strong relationships with customers over the long term?
So it's about going beyond the transactional ending, becoming a trusted advisor.
Right. Think about how you provide ongoing support, how you make yourself available as a resource.
And how you stay on top of their evolving needs.
Exactly. These are the things that build loyalty and trust.
Like you're becoming a partner in their success,
Mm-hmm.
not just a vendor.
And part of that partnership might involve providing technical support and training.
Which leads us to another common question, I'm guessing.
You got it. How do you approach providing technical support and training to customers after the sale is complete? This is where you really shine as the expert.
Okay, so what are some good ways to answer that?
Highlight your proactiveness. Did you create clear documentation or video tutorials to help customers troubleshoot issues?
Yeah, those are super helpful.
Maybe you even hosted webinars to provide in-depth training. These are all great examples of going the extra mile.
And don't forget about the follow-up.
What do you mean?
Well, after a sale or training session, it's a good idea to check in with the customer to see how things are going.
Oh, absolutely. Did they have any questions? Were they able to implement what they learned?
It shows you're truly invested in their success, not just trying to make a quick buck.
Exactly. So those are some key things to keep in mind as you prepare for your interview.
We've covered so much ground here. Technical knowledge, communication skills, sales strategies, building relationships, and even post-sales support. It's clear that being a technical sales representative for electronic equipment requires a diverse skill set.
It really does.
Yeah.
And while RoleCatcher can provide you with a ton of resources, sample answers to these.
Right. Makes sense. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about what happens after the sale.
Okay, sounds good.
This is another area where I think a lot of candidates might stumble.
Yeah, it's easy to focus on closing the deal, but what about everything that comes after?
Exactly. It's like proving you're not just there to make the sale and disappear.
You're in it for the long haul.
Right. So a question you might get for a mid-level role is, how do you provide technical support and training to customers after the sale is complete?
That's a good one. It really gets at your commitment to customer success.
Okay, so how do you knock this one out of the park?
Well, think about your approach. Are you proactive?
So, like anticipating potential problems before they even arise.
Exactly. Have you created clear documentation or step-by-step video tutorials? Those are super helpful for customers.
Yeah, I've definitely used those myself.
And maybe you've even led webinars or online training sessions to provide more in-depth support.
Ooh, yeah, that shows you're really going the extra mile.
And what about RoleCatcher's AI? Can it help with these kinds of questions too?
I was just thinking that. That database of interview questions must have some gems for this.
It does. It covers all levels of experience, including post-sales support. And the AI can give you feedback on your answers.
Like suggesting ways to make them even stronger.
Exactly. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Okay, well, I think we've covered a ton of ground here.
We have.
Technical knowledge, communication skills,
Yeah,
sales strategies, building relationships, post-sales support.
it's a lot.
It is. It's clear that being a technical sales representative is a really multifaceted role.
And it's a career path with a lot of potential too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The RoleCatcher Guide highlights good earning potential.
Opportunities for advancement too. And you get to work with cutting-edge technology all the time.
Okay, so that all sounds amazing, but it also mentions that it's a competitive field.
It is. So you got to bring your A game to that interview.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are prepping for this?
Yeah, I'd say use this prep time not just to practice answers, but to really reflect on what excites you about this role.
Ooh, I like that.
What unique experiences and skills can you bring to the table? Because at the end of the day, it's about more than just checking boxes.
Yeah, you gotta show them who you are.
And the more genuine and enthusiastic you are, the better you'll connect with the interviewer. And that's what'll make you stand out.
Absolutely. That's such great advice. It's not just about what you know. It's about who you are and how you present yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
We've given you the insights, the strategies, and even a glimpse of how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra edge.
So go out there and knock 'em dead.
Now it's your turn to shine. Good luck with your interview.